In this daily video series we cover news and updates regarding monetary and fiscal policies of G7 countries, as these policies have huge impact on their currency against other currencies. In today's video we shall cover all major events happening regarding central banks of G7 nations.
Bank of England. Annual private sector output price inflation was stable in 3 months to September, at 7.7%. September inflation was 7.4%, down from 7.7% in August. Expected year-ahead annual output price inflation was 6.6% in the 3 months to September, up from 6.5% the previous month. The single-month data was also 6.6%, 0.2 percentage points higher than in August. Over the 12 months to September, average cost growth was unchanged from the August survey, at 9.8%. Over the next 12 months, firms expected unit cost growth to be 9.1%, on average, up from 8.3% in the previous month. Average wage growth was reported to have been 6.5% over the 12 months to September and was expected to be 5.9% over the next 12 months. Perceptions of current CPI inflation averaged 10.2% in the September survey, up from 9.6% in August. Looking ahead, DMP members expected CPI inflation to be 9.5% 1 year ahead, up from 8.4% in the August survey, and 4.8% in 3 years' time. The percentage of non-labor inputs being disrupted remained stable at 15% in September. 84% of firms reported it harder to recruit new employees, down from 86% in August. 59% reported that it was much harder, 4 percentage points lower than in August. Annual employment growth in the 3 months to September was 4.6%, up from 4.3% in the 3 months to August. Expected year-ahead employment growth was 2.1% in the 3 months to September, down from 2.2% in the previous month. The business uncertainty level continued to increase in September. 69% of respondents reported that uncertainty for their business was high or very high at the moment, 6 percentage points higher than in August. Uncertainty relating to Ukraine also increased in September, up 10 percentage points from August. Uncertainty relating to Brexit and COVID decreased in September, down 1.4 and 0.8 percentage points respectively. UK International Reserves, September 2022. The UK government's gross reserves decreased by $9,230 million to $171,551 million at the end of September 2022. The Bank of England's gross reserves decreased by $837 million to $20,672 million at the end of September 2022. The UK government's net reserves decreased by $2,350 million in September 2022. The end September 2022 total was $78,402 million, £70,221 million, compared with $80,753 million, £69,381 million, at end August 2022. The Bank of England's net holdings of foreign currency decreased by $3 million in September 2022. The end September 2022 total was -$7 million, -£6 million 14, compared with -$4 million, -£3 million, at end August 2022. The UK government's holdings of gross reserves have increased between 2008-09 and 2020-21. That made a rise in the value of gold. The Bank of England's foreign currency assets and liabilities mainly arise from the bank's foreign exchange reserves, deposits placed with the bank by overseas central banks and other customers, and other capital items. Consolidated balance sheet, June 30, 2021. The quarterly balance sheet contains consolidated data on assets and liabilities for 5 quarters earlier. Call for papers, themed issue for the Journal of Econometrics. The machine learning can uncover potentially unknown but important nonlinearities within in the data generating process, but has a downside that it often is not clear what the mechanism through which the machine learning model operates, i.e. the black box critique. It aims to cover a diverse set of problems where machine learning approaches and novel data sources are applied to situations, which are relevant to economic policy making. It will cover a range of applications and methodological contributions such as deep learning, text analytics, reinforcement learning, shock or treatment identification, forecasting and nowcasting, as well as different approaches to model interpretability and inference, among others. Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Core consumer price inflation is too high and labor resources are scarce. Global consumer price pressures remain heightened. Food and energy prices got worsen. A recent decline in oil prices and an easing in some supply chain constraints have seen headline inflation measures fall in some countries. The Monetary Policy Committee today increased the official cash rate, OCR, to 3.5% from 3.0%. The committee members agreed that monetary conditions needed to continue to tighten until the inflation comes back within its 1 to 3% per annum target range. International Monetary Bank. Ms. Joyce Wong from IMF visited Tegucigalpa from September 26 to October 5. At the end of the mission, Ms. Wong issued statement, in which she appreciated and thanked for a fruitful and open discussion and for their kind hospitality. Antigua and Barbuda, staff concluding statement of the 2022 Article 4 mission. The real GDP is estimated to have expanded by 5.3% in 2021, buoyed by tourism and construction activity. Inflation accelerated to 8.5% in July following the surge in global food and energy prices. Public debt peaked at 102% of GDP and is projected to decline to 91% of GDP in 2022. Revenue shortfalls in 2022 are likely to imply a primary deficit of about 0.5% of GDP, or 1% of GDP below target. Tax exemptions have increased significantly from late 2021. Fuel consumption taxes have fallen by about 1.5% of GDP since 2021 to absorb the impact of rising global energy prices. As a transitory step, retirement age could be increased by half a year to 64.5 years in 2024 and reach 65 years in 2025 as currently envisaged. IMF staff concludes 2022 Article 4 mission to Oman. GDP growth rebounded from -3.2% in 2020 to 3.0% in 2021, and is projected at 4.3% in 2022. Inflation is expected to push up to 3% in 2022. Central government balance improved by 12.8 percentage points of GDP to a deficit of 3.2% in 2021. IMF releases the 2022 Financial Access Survey results. The value of mobile money transactions growing from about 40% of GDP to 70% in low-income countries, mobile and internet banking transactions increasing from 225% of GDP to 324% in middle-income countries between 2019 to 2021. IMF Executive Board approves a new food shock window and an enhanced staff monitored program with board involvement. A combination of climate shocks and the pandemic has disrupted food production and distribution, driving up the cost of feeding people and families. The cumulative access limits under the RFI regular window and the RCF exogenous shock window, currently at 150% of quota, will be increased to 175% of quota for members that will borrow through the FSW. A review is planned by the end of June 2023.
Watch this channel for more Forex updates.